facilitate policy, governance, and global affairs. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you
Ladies
so
and
much.
gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Good evening.
You are an absolute inspiration.
Namaste, everybody. Khan Pin Boli Dere Vaira Gati Suki Rasa, I think you excuse me, right? All right. Public policy is often seen as something that only government deal with, right? But in reality, every entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators is influenced by policy. For example, I'm a real estate agent, currently running a buyer's agency. I came in Sydney a month ago and met a lot of local accountant and mortgage broker for potential collaboration. Went back home, was preparing the team, research, property acquisition. Unfortunately, Australian government announced a big policy change and negative gearing and CZD change. And that destroyed my business plan. Look at this. Look at this, my recruitment plan. I already done a lot of interviews with property researcher and acquisition officers, and one policy had changed everything. So public policy is very, very important for all the entrepreneurs, wherever we are, whatever we're doing. So today, we're actually discussing around the public policy, and we aiding AI technology or educational prospects as well. So we'll explore how Nepal and Australia can work together to create more opportunities for young entrepreneurs, and that role policy can play in making that happen. So I do have three special panelists today I'm going to invite for them. The first, Honorable Ji Shun, MP, Federal Member of Banks, Australian Parliament, lawyer and former diplomat. I would like to request to come on the stage. So Honorable Ji Shun is the Federal Member of Banks in Australian Parliament, a lawyer, former diplomat and education policy leader, and a long-term advocate for multicultural community. He is actively engaged with the Nepali community and supports the Parliamentary Friends of Nepal, promoting stronger Nepal-Australia engagement. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And I'm inviting another wonderful panelist for today, Professor Dr. Krishna K. Shrestha. Professor Krishna K. Shrestha is the Professor of Global Development at UNSW Sydney, bringing an academic perspective on how higher education can prepare young people to innovate, lead, and build capability. So how universities should evolve to produce innovators and entrepreneurs, and how to build capability rather than simply qualifications. So we're definitely going to discuss about this particular angle. And I do have another special guest all the way from Nepal, Honorable Kavindra Burlakoti. So Honorable Burlakoti is the Chief Whip, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, the ruling party, member House of Representatives, Federal Parliament of Nepal. So Honorable Burlakoti, so we mostly talk about policies that make entrepreneurship easier for young people and practical reforms and encourage youth entrepreneurs in Nepal. So I think we're going to have some interesting conversation. Can I request to just sit over there so that I can sit? All right. Sorry. Thank you so much. Thanks. All right. Public policy is definitely not a very interesting subject, but as I said, it's a very important subject, right? The first question, I go to the Professor Krishna Shrestha, right? So from your research and experiences, such a long time you've been involved in universities and dealing with a lot of young entrepreneurs or innovators, right? So what are the biggest policy barrier that preventing young entrepreneur from succeeding today?
Thanks very much, Mr. Finye, and hello everyone. It's been a pleasure to be part of this and being a part of this esteemed panel. it feels like the panel is very deliberately selected at the end of the day, talking to two politicians and a professor, actually at the end of the day, and it's a true experimentation of the entrepreneurial ideas in the name of policy, public policy. So policy, in all the seriousness, public policy matters a lot when we are thinking about risk-taking, uncertainty, and then trying to do something out of nowhere, often. So I have been doing public policy research, established the policy lab in Nepal, in Australia for many years now. There are a lot of problems that we can see in the ground, in the scholarship, in best practices around the world. But some of the key issues that I can see in terms of the public policy paralysis is not listening to people. Not listening to people in the ways that people have very fluid and changing ideas, the way people have practiced different, have done different experimentations that have brought to fruition. But the government, when we talk about public policy, it's about what the government does, right? A lot of the time, the government is far distant from people. Although this distance has been narrowed by a lot of technologies and a lot of social media and others. But a lot of the time, the evidence that is presented does not make sense to the policymakers. I like to think in the neoliberal political economy, the entrepreneurial adventures should collide and intertwine with policy making. But in practice, the world of entrepreneurs and the world of policy making are very different. They are often actually not conversant to one another. So there are a lot of in-betweens that makes the policy that is often not conversant, but also completely detached from the reality in practice. So I will just stop there.
All right, thank you. So I go with Honorable Burlakoti. From the government's perspective, especially Nepal has a new era of modern Nepali politics, I would say. So under this situation, and you are the chief whip of ruling party, so you have a huge influence within the party, in the government. So what policy reform do you believe Nepal must prioritize over the next 5 years to support young entrepreneurs? अब आउने 5 वर्षमा यो नयाँ राजनीतिक परिस्थिति, बहुमतको सरकार, तपाईं रुलिङ पार्टीमा हुनुहुन्छ हैन? सो नेपालले अब सरकारले कस्तो खालको policy रिफर्ममा काम गर्नुपर्छ होला जसले चाहिँ नै young entrepreneursहरूलाई support गरोस्?
Thank you so much. Sorry, Shishung, I speak in Nepali so that I can express myself well with the Nepali community. धन्यवाद छ नेपालीलाई माया पनि गरिदिनु भएकोमा। यो चुनौतीपूर्ण समयमा हामी आफ्नो पेशा छोडेर राजनीतिमा आएका छौं। यो सजिलो थिएन। अहिले हामीले गरेको काम हजुरहरूले 3 महिनामा अस्ट्रेलिया छोडेर नेपाल जान जति गाह्रो छ त्यतिकै गाह्रो हामीले अडप्ट गरेर आएका छौं। र यो अप्ठ्यारो भोगेर आएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि अहिलेको पोलिसी रिफर्ममा हामी करिब 2/3 को नजिक रहेको सरकारको नेतृत्व गरेको दलको हिसाबले हेर्ने हो भने 80% पोलिसीहरू रिफर्म गर्न जरुरी छ नेपालको। त्यही पोलिसीको कारणले गर्दाखेरि सानो सानो कुराहरुमा पनि हामी आफ्नो बिजनेस, आफ्नो फर्दर करियर र आफ्नो फ्यामिलीलाई नेपालमा एक्जिस्ट गराउन सकिराखेका छैनौं। त्यो कारणले मैले चाहिँ राख्दाखेरि 80% नेपालको मौजुदा कानुनहरू रिफर्म गर्न जरुरी छ। त्यसले मात्रै अहिलेको ग्लोबलाइजेसनसँग कम्पिट गर्ने क्यापासिटी इन्हान्स गर्छ र हामी त्यस पछाडीको एउटा वातावरण तयार गरिसके पछाडी सबै नेपालीलाई देशमै स्वागत गर्नलाई सक्छौँ र त्यो रिफर्मको लागि हामी तयारी छौँ र त्यो आइडेन्टिफिकेसन पनि भइसकेको छ।
Fantastic. So, Wako, it's like I'm trying to summarize. So, the government is committed to reform 80% of the policy that exists today. So, government is really serious about it, and so that they can facilitate a lot of entrepreneurs from inside and outside of the country to come to Nepal, invest, and do their business. So, very well done. Thank you so much, Honorable Burlakoti. So now, I come to Honorable Sun. Australia has built a very strong ecosystem for startups and SMEs, right? So which policy have made the greatest differences?
Well, thank you very much for that important question. I just want to first of all say to the Chief Whip, you need never apologise for speaking your mother tongue. One of the most important and pivotal parts of Australia is our vibrant multiculturalism. And so to hear your Nepali language here in Australia is a gift, and a gift not only for our community, but also for business. So please never, ever apologise for speaking your language here in our community. I guess a couple of things from me before I answer the question. The first one is I can feel the excitement and the energy and ambition in the room today. And so it's wonderful to be surrounded by so many wonderful business owners and entrepreneurs here in Sydney from a Nepalese background. It is also wonderful to be here with so many friends from the Nepalese community, as well as many guests from overseas. It's wonderful to have you here with us. For those of you who don't know me, I have the pleasure of representing the seat of Banks in southwestern Sydney. So that covers Revesby, Panania, Padstow in the west, but then the east, I have one of the biggest Nepalese communities in all of Sydney. So I cover Penshurst, South Hurstville, and on the edges of kind of Rockdale as well. And it's an absolute pleasure of mine to represent a community that has such a strong and growing Nepalese Australian community. And as you mentioned before, I have the honour of chairing the Australia Parliamentary Friends of Nepal group in the Federal Parliament. I guess I answer your question with two hats on. One, first is as a parliamentarian, as a representative of government. But then the second, I also, and look, it's one that I don't talk about necessarily that much, but I really do am passionate about. I was actually a business owner in the past as well. So I helped grow a consulting firm of 7 people to a consulting firm that grew into over about 300 people with offices in about 10 countries all around the world. And so I can, I guess, answer the question from a government hat, but then also from a business perspective. I guess you were asking the question was, is there a change in government policy or a particular introduction that I am very proud of in terms of facilitating business here in Australia? I guess I see the role of government as really facilitating and creating the right environment for businesses to thrive. And to be honest, as you mentioned before, some of our tax changes in negative gearing and capital gains tax has received a lot of attention. But there's a whole raft of policies now that we've just introduced that I'm very proud of. In fact, we've actually released $3.5 billion worth of investment looking at supporting the growth of businesses in this country. And so for those of you who aren't aware of what that includes, so we've made the $20,000 instant asset tax write-off a permanent part of our system. We've also made permanent the 2-year carryover loss provisions that many businesses, particularly startups, are using at the moment. But we've also introduced a range of reforms, cutting a lot of the regulations or red tape around making sure businesses succeed. And one of my favourite ones is a policy called Tell Me Once, which is if you've got a business and you've told the federal government a detail or change in your business, you don't have to call 10 different government departments to tell them the same thing. And that government should be able to share that information across departments in order to make sure that they get those updates without you having to take the time in order to do that. The last one though, and I got to meet a lovely lady on my table who comes from the venture capitalist side of things. we've also expanded the tax incentives for venture capital here in Australia so that when businesses in this room have a good idea and they need some of that capital support in order to grow that business, they have that. And so I'm very keen on making sure that exists, and that only doesn't exist for mainstream businesses, but businesses that are run and started by multicultural communities, including the Nepali Australian community.
Fantastic. Talking about recent Australian government policies, I do have thousands of questions to ask you, but unfortunately we don't have a time at the moment. As I'm a business person, and especially in the real estate, CGT negative gearing is actually killing us. I'm sorry to say. We'll have a discuss later on about it. Let's talk about Nepal-Australia business opportunities. Honorable Soon, there's just so many sectors, there's a potential collaboration can happen amongst Nepal and Australia, right? Agriculture, tourism, education, technology, renewable energy, skill migration, health services, AI, digital economy, on and on. There's a lot of sectors that the two countries can actually collaborate. So what do you think, where is the biggest opportunity you see in terms of collaboration?
I think you've touched on a really important topic, which is how can Australia and Nepal continue to expand its trade and economic relationship? As most of you would know, here in New South Wales, the Nepali Australian community is the fastest growing one in Australia. And to be honest, rather than answering that myself, I see my role as making sure that the community here can facilitate and understand areas. And as government, no matter whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in AI, whether it's in different types of education and skills, we will work alongside the community for those ideas to be generated by the community. And then we will support them in order for that to succeed. Look, one of the obvious areas and that you've just mentioned is artificial intelligence. And no doubt it's played a role in some of the discussions already as part of this forum and as part of this summit. Some of you would have seen the Prime Minister announced that we're introducing a new artificial intelligence framework as well as a new AI standards. And a big part of what that aims to do is make sure that Australia, alongside its many partners around the world, can benefit from the wonderful productivity gains that AI can deliver, whilst also protecting our communities against some of the job losses, but then also the potential threats to creative production of information that often feeds these AI models as well. And so, look, I think, to go back to the main part of the question, I don't think it's necessarily government's role to set what those areas are. It's for businesses and communities to set what those agendas are, but for us to create the environment and help facilitate those relationships between the two countries. But obviously AI continues to present a real opportunity.
Thank you. I think Australian government has been providing a lot of development aid since pretty long, contributing Nepal's local economy as well. So I think this question is good for Honorable Burlakoti. मैले जति पनि यो एरियाजहरू बताएँ, AI could be the new sector where we can work together. तर यस बाहेक नेपालको कुनै प्राथमिकता छ certain sectorमा Australian governmentसँग collaborationको लागि?
Thank you. Thank you, Shun, for the aspiration for the partnership with Nepal as well. Actually, मैले अस्ट्रेलिया बुझे अनुसार चाहिँ तीनवटा महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरामा हाम्रो साझेदारी बढी हुन सक्छ जस्तो लाग्छ. एउटा टेक्नोलोजी हो र टेक्नोलोजीमा AI पनि इन्क्लुड गर्न हामी सक्छौं. दोस्रो एग्रिकल्चर र एग्रोटेकमा पनि हामी जान सक्छौं र यहाँको सम्भावना मैले केही स्टडीहरू गर्दाखेरि यो महत्त्वपूर्ण देखेको छु. हाम्रोमा 250 रुपैयाँमा बिक्री हुने उत्पादन अस्ट्रेलियामा $2500 मा गइराखेको भन्ने मैले बुझेको छु. $250 मा. त्यो भनेको असाध्यै ठुलो सम्भावना यो हाम्रो एग्रिकल्चरमा देख्छु. र त्यसै गरी यो फरेस्ट प्रोडक्टहरुमा पनि त्यस्तै सम्भावना छ. त्यसमा जडीबुटीको कुराहरू छ र हाम्रो उच्च हिमाली क्षेत्रमा उत्पादन हुने वन्य उत्पादनहरू जङ्गलजन्य उत्पादनहरू असाध्यै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। यो तीनवटा सेक्टरमा हाम्रो साझेदारीको सम्भावना म उच्च देख्छु। थ्याङ्क यू।
म अर्को टपिकतिर जान चाहन्छु, diaspora as economic breezes. I'll go to the Professor Dr. Krishna Shrestha. Around the world, what successful diaspora engagement model could Nepal learn from? You must be witnessing and doing research and observing a lot of diaspora actually performing well. So what exactly model could be the best for us?
Thanks very much. I think that's very interesting and important question as we have more and more diaspora around the world. But I would like to briefly respond to or be conversant with Mr. Soon and Mr. Barlakoti's points about identifying the new areas or potentially new areas of collaboration between Australia and Nepal. I think we got to get to the bottom of the possibilities. I think as a professor, I don't pretend to be, talking for the sake of talking. I think there are fundamental problems with the way Australian governments, whether it is Liberal, National, or the Labor, there is a fundamental problem of crisis of recognition that the diaspora in Australia has grown. It's not just the number of thousands or 50,000 or 100,000. The quality and impact of the diaspora, Nepali diaspora or South Asian diaspora in Australia is unprecedented. So there are so many possibilities of collaboration if and only if there is a due and meaningful recognition from the government, from the public policy perspective. I can't see that. It hasn't happened. It is not forthcoming. Something from my perspective, I think hope the Liberal or the Labor government anytime will listen to the quality and contribution the diaspora can make. Going back to the Nepal government, I understand, I recognize the challenges and expectation to the new government, but I cannot see the strategic clarity of the Nepal government. Actually, I see strategic stalemate, the way the government is looking at action and outcome now. If you don't have a strategic purpose, then action and outcome can take you anywhere. So at the moment, there is a stalemate in strategic way what the diaspora can do. So hopefully that is work in progress, and we cannot really, it is not a time to criticize the government as of now, but this is something really, I was attending the NRN meeting last night. There were more than 150 people attending. And the energy and passion here, and the purpose, that is wonderful, that has been around the world with youth and other entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs. It hasn't been as much captured as it could be. So that is an opportunity for the government to tap in. So in terms of the possible models for how we can imagine the global diaspora can do greater good for Nepal. I think there were a lot of discussions, a lot of energy and passion about, well, we have these great new ideas. We have great passion. We have great networks and resources. I think there is where the public policy and the governance come. I think there is a need for looking at the contextual approach to diaspora engagement. You can't have a one approach fits all. The diaspora in the Middle East is very different from the diaspora from Australia. So, but obviously there are different sectoral focus, but the approach has to be the mutual recognition of the context, the geopolitics, the evolving nature of policies in different countries. So I hope the Australian and Nepalese government can look at the contextual approach to organize and mobilize the diaspora communities, both in extent and at a deeper level, the possibilities of futures together going forward.
All right. The millions of Nepali living overseas possess capital, knowledge, and global networks. So how can Nepal better engage its diaspora as investment partner rather than simply remittance providers, right? So it's been discussing since many, many years. Mainstream political parties, so many ruling governments has been discussing. So how can we do the partnership with Nepali diaspora, right, for nation building process? But there isn't any significant progress we can witness. Even I'm living in Australia since last 18 years. I've been listening a lot of debate and discussions with so many different political parties, but I can't see any significant changes or favorable policy reform in terms of, encouraging people to go back and invest. So what actually government can do? अब अहिले त नेपालमा यस्तो राम्रो सरकार छ हैन, वेल कन्फिडेन्ट सरकार छ. अब योभन्दा बेस्ट इन्भाइरोमेन्ट त हुनेवाला छैन नेपालमा. आई थिङ्क इतिहासमा नेपालको डेमोक्रेसीमा यो लेभलको कम्फर्टेबल मेजोरिटी त थिएन कहिले. सो व्हाट डु यु रियली थिङ्क, के लाग्छ अनरेबल बुर्लाकोटी, के अब चाहिँ प्रवासी नेपालीहरू नेपालमा जाने आउने, सांस्कृतिक अधिकारका कुरा, आर्थिक अधिकारका कुरा, नागरिक सरह पाउने सुविधाका कुरा जो लामो समयदेखि विभिन्न खालको मुभमेन्टमा डिस्कसन चलिरहेछ, क्यान वी होप फर द बेस्ट?
यस, हामी गर्न सक्छौँ. जस्ट वान्टेड टु क्लियरिफाई टु डक्टर केसी कि मैले चाहिँ अघि डायस्पोराको सम्भावनाको कुरा गरेको थिइनँ. मैले चाहिँ अघि अस्ट्रेलिया र नेपालको पार्टनरसिपको कुरा गरेको थिएँ. डायस्पोरा त सबै हाम्रै त हो, त हाम्रै देश हो, हामी सबैजना छौँ र हाम्रो देशलाई के सम्भावना देख्छौँ त्यो सबै सम्भावना खुल्ला छ. त्यो कारणले मैले डायस्पोराको मात्रै लिमिट गरेको थिइनँ, त्यो मैले अस्ट्रेलियासँगको सम्भावनाको कुरा गरेको थिएँ. अब डायस्पोराको कुरा गर्दाखेरि त यहाँहरूले नै बनाउनु भएको सरकार हो. अहिलेको सरकार मैले बनाएको होइन, राष्ट्रिय स्वतन्त्र पार्टीले बनाएको होइन, इन्क्लुडिङ डायस्पोरा नेपाली आम नागरिकले बनाएको सरकार हो. यस अगाडिको सरकार नागरिकले बनाएको सरकार थिएन कि भन्ने पनि लाग्छ अलिअलि चाहिँ. त्यो कारणले यो सरकार नागरिकले बनाएको कारणले नागरिकको पुरा हक, पुरा अधिकार छ कि यो सरकारले नागरिकको कामभन्दा बाहिर अरू गर्नै पाउँदैन, नागरिकको काम नै गर्ने हो. त्यो कारणले हामी यसमा पुरापुर, किनभने यसको क्रेडिट हामी लिन चाहँदैनौँ. यो नागरिकले बनाएको सरकार हो र नागरिककै कामको लागि यो सरकार हरेक दिन सुतिराखेको छ भने पनि उठाएर नागरिकको काम गराउने क्षेत्राधिकार, अधिकार, त्यो दायित्व आम नागरिकको हो, यहाँहरूको हो. यहाँहरूले भोट हाल्न नगए पनि कति त जानु पनि भयो र कतिले त आफ्नो परिवार, आफ्नो आफन्त, साथीभाइ सबैलाई भनेर, इभन यहाँको पोलिटिक्समा लागिराख्नु भएको साथीहरूले पनि नेपालमा फोन गरेर, नेपालमा कुरा गरेर ल है यसपटक भन्नुभएको छ. त्यो पुरा अधिकार यहाँहरूलाई छ. र अर्को चाहिँ अघि हाम्रो अर्थमन्त्रीज्यूले अघि वेबिनारमा भन्नुभयो कि एकपटकको नेपाली सधैँको नेपाली भनेर भन्नुभयो. वन्स नेपाली अलवेज नेपाली. सो यसमा हाम्रो कुनै पनि बेला यो सोचाइमा परिवर्तन हुनेवाला छैन. राजनीतिक अधिकार बाहेक सबै अधिकार नेपालीहरूले प्रयोग गर्न पाउनुहुन्छ. यसमा हामी केही समय काम गर्दैछौँ, केही समय धैर्य गर्न म अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु. थ्याङ्क यू.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. For a quick, it's not a translation, but I will try to summarize a little bit. Government is absolutely committed to deliver what the diaspora is expecting to be accommodated in policy-wise. There is a debate and discussions going on since very long about how the Nepal government can facilitate the people living abroad and holding other countries' passport. But that's why he said, once a Nepali, always a Nepali. So the new government ways reform the policy and welcome everybody as organic Nepali, as they are, right? So, all right. So same question, how can Australian government encourage migrant entrepreneurs, as you deeply connected with the migrant community, multicultural community? So how Australian government encourage migrant entrepreneurs to contribute to both Australian economy and international business partnership?
I think you've raised a really important point there. Again, before I get to the answer though, I also wanted to recognise the contribution that the Nepalese business community has already made here in Australia. Through the small businesses you've created, the impact that you're having in our care industries, whether it's aged care, early childhood, and across the board, Australia has become incredibly enriched by the contribution you have made to both public services, but then also in the business community already. I guess the point that you made there is, well, we really should be supporting our multicultural communities to build and thrive as business people. And for one of the things that I'm really passionate about is making sure that we can move capital away from the main city centres like the Sydney CBD, but out to where multicultural communities are. And that includes electorates like mine, because that is where there are so many ideas, so many opportunities that we should look at these different regional centres across our cities that we can invest in and provide infrastructure and grants for, so that those businesses can thrive outside the main metropolitan centres, because we've invested significant amounts already in those hubs, but we should look for alternative ways and alternative places for those growth to occur. And I think the more that we can reach out to multicultural communities, including the Nepali Australian community, to find out, well, how can we make sure that you get the support they need in the place that you need it, is really important. And that is the advocacy that I will continue to do with my colleagues in the federal government, because I think making sure that we are investing where the people are and where the ideas are is really an important step in galvanising our ongoing growth as a nation.
Fantastic. So we have a time limitation, so I expect every question that I ask, short and sweet answer from my panelists. So I go for education versus entrepreneurship. Because we have a professor with us, obviously we have to discuss about it shortly. Is our education system preparing graduates to become entrepreneurs or simply job seekers?
Well, entrepreneurship and education is not the binary for me. Learning happens whether you go to university or not. And I have heard a lot of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, dropping out the university and become successful. So I think these are some examples, but to become entrepreneur, I think learning has to be constant, whether it is inside the university or out. That's how I see learning for new things, but also unlearning the bad things, I guess, the both ways.
Okay, all right, thank you. And to Honorable Burlakoti, what reforms are needed to encourage innovation from university? So, especially Nepal, university pani cha, colleges pani cha, graduate pani airachan, but we always fail to connect our graduate to the workforce or to entrepreneurship, right? So, हाम्रो चाहिँ हामीले कस्तो खालको policy reform गर्नेतिर सोचिरहेका छौँ?
नेपालको अहिलेको परिप्रेक्ष्यमा चाहिँ हाम्रो टोटल डिजिटलाइज गर्नुपर्ने आवश्यकता छ र त्यसको लागि हाम्रो रुल्सहरूले दिइराखेको अवस्था छैन। त्यो कारणले मैले अघि पनि भने 80% जस्तो कानुनहरू रिफर्म गर्नुपर्ने छ। एक्जाम्पलको लागि हामी संसदमा भर्चुअल बैठक बस्न सक्ने व्यवस्था छैन। हामी 18-20 जना र 27 जनाको एउटा समिति हुन्छ, संसदीय समिति। त्यो संसदीय समितिको बैठक आवश्यकता पर्यो भने भर्चुअल बैठक बस्न सक्ने व्यवस्था छैन र हामीले प्रयास गर्दाखेरि यो चाहिँ हाम्रो कार्यविधिले दिँदैन भनेर रोकियो। अब यो हामी इमिडिएटली यो चीजहरू तोड्न चाहन्छौँ र यो रिफर्महरू गरेर अगाडि बढ्न चाहन्छौँ र टोटल डिजिटलाइजमा लिएर जाने गरी हामी अभ्यास गर्न चाहन्छौँ। यसको लागि सुरुमा केही लागतहरू बढ्ला, तर यसले दिने रिटर्न असाध्यै धेरै छ। एउटा सर्वेले देखाएको थियो करिब 1 खरब जति लगानी गर्यो भने हाम्रो टोटल डिजिटलाइज हुँदो रहेछ र त्यसले हरेक वर्ष 3 खरब जति रेभिन्यू हाम्रो बचाउँछ। हामी त्यो गर्न चाहन्छौँ।
Thank you so much. So he is saying Nepal is actually trying to reform a lot of policies to digitalize the entire nations and services. So there's a lot of limitations of digital devices or digital infrastructures in place. But the government is working on it to change, to reform the policy so that we can adopt technology and do the entire nation digitalized. So now I think we are at the end of the session, but before I end up the session and go for the floor for questions, I do have a policy wish list, just a question. One policy, if you have a right capacity to reform that helps young entrepreneurs to make a positive impact, so what would be that policy, Professor Krishna?
Well, that's an experimental idea into practice at government expenses at universities.
Fantastic. Honorable Burla Koti, एउटा त्यस्तो policy रिफर्म गर्ने तपाईले मौका पाउनुभयो र त्यसले युवा उद्यमीहरूलाई सहयोग गर्छ भने त्यो पोलिसी चाहिँ के होला?
एक पटकको लागि आफ्नो भिजनलाई कार्यान्वयन गर्न सरकारले फुल सपोर्ट गर्ने पोलिसी म लिएर आउन चाहन्छु युवाहरूको लागि।
Fantastic.
र त्यो सपोर्ट चाहिँ डुबाउन चाहिँ युवाहरूले पाउनु भएन। Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the same question to you, Honorable.
Of
Sure.
course. Well, first of all, I wanted to say, look, thank you for being such a fantastic moderator for this. Can we give him a round of applause? And also for translating for me. That's very helpful. Thank you. Look, it's one that my policy idea is one that I've been talking about for many years, is about how we can use government-held data to support businesses more effectively. So government through the tax office sees businesses succeed, businesses fail, and everything in between. What can we do about using that data more effectively to give businesses information about how they're going to then, so they can act on that information?
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our wonderful panelists. And now I go to the floor. If anybody, I'll take 3 questions, I think. 3. All right.
Because one question from one table, please, because I'm pretty sure there are a lot of other questions.
Thank you so much. My name is Renuka. I'm from South Australia. Thank you, Mr. Asun. This question is typically for you because I also work in a local government. I'm an elected council member in City of Marion, South Australia. You talk about, because we are here from the multicultural community,
भन्नुभएको थियो तपाईँले दिनुभयो थ्याङ्क यू सो मच ए अनि त्यसपछि 2028 को लागि तपाईँहरू सम्पूर्णलाई अहिलेदेखि नै निमन्त्रणा छ र पछि हामी आधिकारिक रूपमा निमन्त्रणा दिनेछौँ धन्यवाद सी यू इन चाइना
Thank you. Thank you, Dilbahadur Kathat, the president of Finye China. So see you all in China. Now I would like to call, I don't have to say anything more about her, you know. Just looking at her, many of us can read who is she. So Deepakji has already described the entire biography of Sujata Chalise. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for the dynamic lady, the President of Finye Australia, Sujata Chalise, for the closing remarks of this summit. And thank you very much. I'm signing off as a host from this event. Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening or good afternoon, Misa. Good evening and namaste. Good afternoon, hola. Australia भएको समिटमा Australian president लाई केही पनि छैन एनर्जी. Good evening and namaste. All right, before I say anything, I'd like to show you one video. That video one more time. Can I have that video played, please?
Thank you, President of Finye Australia, Sujata Chalise. And I hope I'll get a chance to host the sponsor of Finye Australia 2026 in Sydney. Okay, you.
All right. Are you excited for IES 2026 in Sydney, Australia? That wasn't loud enough. I'm giving you another chance. Are you excited?
Yeah!
Oh my God, such a big relief to come to this part of the event. 2 years ago, at the International Youth Entrepreneurs Summit 2024 in Hong Kong, we dreamed of this day. And today, it has happened. But before I deliver my concluding remarks, it would be very unfair to do it without key people, all right? I'd like to call up on the stage few names, and you guys cannot disagree but to be here. Can I have the founding president of Finye Australia, Mr. Dikpal Dev Pangini? Founding General Secretary, everyone's sweetheart, Onu Rani Regmi. And no president ever is complete without his or her General Secretary, my beloved Kamal Silva. And the man who knows it all, my all-rounder, he's traveled at least a week earlier from Perth. He's into tech, marketing, people handling, and we have handled his enough tantrums. Mr. Bhuvan Khadka, Coordinator Western Australia. I know all of us have worked hard, but there are few people who have given heart and soul. Trust me. And the two people, I know it's very unfair for NEC to call two IEC's name, but they don't even know if they belong to IEC or NEC. Can I have Siva Shrestha and Dharmaraj Adhikari on the stage, please? You have tolerated Deepak Gewali already for 2 days, so I'm not going to call up on his name. Look, whatever I'm going to tell today, I'm going to tell it on behalf of these people, and I'm going to tell it on behalf of entire Finye Australia team. I would love to acknowledge everybody. This is the core team. They put their heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears, bone and muscles and cartilage and cells in the last 2 weeks. I know, everybody, okay, if I haven't called up in your name, that doesn't mean that you haven't worked hard, but these people, they deserve a bit more of the spotlight. All right, so whatever I'm going to say now is going to be on their behalf and on behalf of my team. You know, everybody says, you know, they have actually recited my names at least 20 times in 2 days, and someone came to me and said, you become the man of the match. There's no such thing as man of the match. This is the team of the series. All right. Okay, let's go back to Hong Kong. You guys have to stand for 5 more minutes, okay? And I won't be taking more than 5 more minutes. So 2 years ago, we were very, very, very excited. And we dreamed of this day. We wanted to make it happen. We wanted to create a platform where we could bring all the young, aspiring veterans, entrepreneurs, investors, business makers, decisions makers, everybody. And today, standing here in front of all of you, I think my dream has come true. And every time I say me, it's us. So many of our stakeholders, partners, and well-wishers ask an important questions when I talked about this thing is like, are we truly ready to host an international summit of this magnitude? Do you still ask me that question, ladies and gentlemen? If anybody can pull the event of this scale in Australia, it is Finye, Australia. All right, before we conclude this remarkable gathering, I know I'm a little bit emotional, a little bit excited, nervous, and a little bit relieved. Good luck, Dilji and your team. Thank you for taking this away from me. All right, I'd like to acknowledge the coordinator of Finye New South Wales, Sanjukta Acharya. Could you please give her a huge round of applause? I'd also like to acknowledge coordinator of Finye Victoria, Mrs. Savina Silva. Please give her a huge round of applause to you. There are so many other names. Well, forgive me if I forget to address your name. But I'd also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has made the International Youth Entrepreneur Summit an outstanding success. And when I say outstanding success, it truly has been an outstanding success. Our sincere appreciation goes to all the distinguished guests, our chief guest, Honorable Bullakoti sir, who's traveled all the way from Nepal to Australia, especially at the time when this wasn't possible. Team IEC knows how hard it was to bring a government representative physically for this event, and they have given heart and soul. Thank you, IEC. Our keynote speakers, CEO of Naval Bank, Manoj Gewali sir, and our own locally grown scientists, Ram Lakshman sir, Bozraj sir, everybody, I can go on, reciting the name of all the speakers, and your presence, your insights and enthusiasm have made this summit truly meaningful. Over the past 2 days, we have witnessed the incredible power of young entrepreneurs, of the success stories. We have shared the ideas. We have challenged the conventional thinking. This really doesn't happen much. I normally don't need a script, but I'm just making sure that I've got everything tamed, especially my emotions. But build the meaningful connections and discover innovative solutions to real-world problems. This summit has reaffirmed that entrepreneurship is not just about building business. It is as much as about creating opportunities, solving challenges, empowering the communities, and shaping a more sustainable and inclusive future. Having said that, because we're talking about Youth Entrepreneur Summit, how many of you in the audience are between the age 18 and 30. Can you get up? How many? Or can we give them a huge round of applause? As a president of Finye, Australia, and as a hosting country of IES, I am, every time I say I, it's we, okay? We are immensely proud of each and every one of you. You're not merely the entrepreneurs of today, the change makers of today. You know what you've done today, your courage to innovate, your willingness to take risk, your determination to create impact have inspired all of us and give us hope for a brighter future. As you leave the summit, I encourage you to carry forward the friendship you have built, the knowledge you have gained, and the inspiration you have found here. Let this not be an end of our journey together, but the beginning of new partnerships, bold ventures, and lasting collaboration across the borders. On behalf of Finye, we would like to extend our deepest appreciation to everybody who contributed to the success of IES 2026. Your dedications and support have made this event a memorable milestone. To all our delegates, we wish you safe travels, but you're not traveling today, we have a gala dinner. And every success in your entrepreneurial journey in coming days, may you continue to dream boldly, lead with integrity, embrace innovation, and create a business that generates not only profit, but also positively impact the society. With great pride and gratitude, I now declare the conclusion of International Youth Entrepreneurship Summit 2026. You have been the lovely audience. Thank you, everybody. Can I have all the team NEC on the stage? And I'd also like to acknowledge the sponsors. How can I forget them? Oh my God, when we thought of this event, you know, the financial part being the biggest milestone and the heart of it, I may not be able to remember all of them, but on behalf of Finye Australia, I'd like to thank each and every of our sponsors and the rest of Finye NEC Australia team. Please come on the stage. Everybody, come. And my remarks is never complete without saying this. Dipenji, we love you. That's how I'd like to conclude IES 2020-26. I'll see you all in gala. But can you give a huge round of applause to my lovely, hardworking team here? And where is Deepakji? Deepak Gewali, kahan janu bhayo? But there are other members as well, but these are the people who made this summit successful. Thank you, everybody.
Even if I crash, just ringing like sirens, racing to